Those of you who don't know me, my name is John Beaupre. I've been asked to host and say a couple introductory words on behalf of our community and to this great family. I have some personal anecdotes that I'm going to share in just a minute. But housekeeping issue. First thing I'd like to say, I'd like to thank the committee for putting this together. Pinky was our ringleader. Pinky right there. Thank you very much. She really. I want to thank Kate Punderson for doing this lovely slideshow up here. She had a lot of us feeding information in, and she really put together a beautiful slideshow, honoring these people. So thank you to the committee members. Thank you to our host librarian, Mrs. Andy Tobias. She took a lot of calls and questions and answers and put this together for us. So thank you, Andy. I was going to share a couple anecdotes about my own personal benefits of that family. But first and foremost, kind of the reason I'm up here, I've lived here for 35 years. For those of you who don't know me, I own 4 grocery and convenience stores up and down the Route 27 corridor. One of my very first customers in my career was those 2 lovely people. They supported me extravagantly. Number 2, this leads to our first speaker. I've been privileged to serve on the Carrabassett Valley Board of Selectmen for 24 years. I recently stepped down, and a lot of the decisions and a lot of philosophies that the town has and has made have been influenced by that great couple. Their philanthropy, their work ethic, their beliefs, their philosophies. It really guided some of our decisions in the way we govern this great community. And, so the Board of Selectmen would like to say just a word or two. Our chairman of the board, Bob Luce, is right there.
I don't know what to say besides thank you. Thank you for everything that you've helped bring to our community, from facilities, condos, homes, just the opportunities that you helped create for kids, me, and the community. I can honestly say, Clem, that when I saw you coming down the road, I kind of swore a little bit to the right. I wondered where he was going to go. But I also had the opportunity to work with Clem on a lot of different job sites. It was always very fun, very entertaining, and sometimes a little poking the bear of Clem as to things that were done, from Clem going out and coming out of a garage and close the door and walk out with an armful of tools and lumber and go back up, come right down, go back, close the door, walk on, flip, back up again. Stuff thrown down. Went back inside. Door came back down. Goes back up, hits everything up. But, nothing. I mean, I loved it. Solved the problem. There were a lot of different buildings from within the community that Clem was an integral part of, and I think people will talk about it today. But some of the different buildings also aren't in the town. They are facilities in Kingfield, Strong, Stratton, North Anson, Lincolnville Beach. Guilford, there you go, thank you. Those help play a part in those communities too. I just think we're all very grateful, thankful for your arriving into our community, staying as long as you did, doing all the things that you did do to help make this better and greater. So thank you, Clem.
So since I get to be the MC and the host, I get to go first with some stories of gratitude. So I have 2 good ones. For those of you that don't know me, I own 4 stores. And in 1989, I bought a store called Ayat's from That lovely woman, where's Amy right here? From that lovely woman right there. And 35 years later, I'm obviously standing here as a retired storekeeper. Anyways, we bought that store in 1989. In 1994-95 ski season, Warren Cook was the CEO and president of Sugarloaf Mountain Corporation. And he approached me and my partner Bob about a collaborative effort, which happens to be right there. And short story long, we bought the land, these two young whippersnappers, and we had a timeline with Warren to get this thing done by the ski season of 1995. So we cleared the land in the summertime, and the time crunch is getting closer. I'm like, Warren's like, we got to have this thing open December 26th. He goes, I suggest you hire a certain local contractor to expediently and budget-friendly get this thing done. And Clem built both of those lovely buildings. 30 years later, they still stand, still sturdy. So on behalf of my career, on behalf of the hundreds of thousands of people who have been in and out of the doors of that store, you changed my career. You helped, substantiate what we were doing. And to this very day, on behalf of my partner and my customers, I thank you. Number two, my mailing address in Carabasset Valley is 1248 Carabasset Drive. You guys familiar with that? My home for the last 22 years was their home. And how many years did you guys live there?
35.
So they lived there for 35 years, raised their beautiful daughters there. In November of 2002, I had just gone through a divorce. I was broke. I was rudderless. I had lost my self-esteem. I really didn't want to be here anymore, right?
Other than that, everything was perfect.
And frankly, the town would have been glad to see me off. But anyway, in November of 2002, probably with her blessing, he came over to Ian's. I was standing there. And he said, Johnny, I hear you're going through a tough time. And I'm thinking to myself, that is an understatement, my friend. And short story long, they offered for me to move in to flexibly finance my new home. I couldn't have done it without him. No way. We moved in. I had just met a beautiful woman who now is my wife. My 3-year-old daughter, I was a single dad. My 3-year-old daughter grew up in the rooms that you guys grew up in. And to say that I'm personally grateful for you is an understatement. It gave me a foundation. Yeah. It gave me a foundation to live my life. And now, 35 years later, I'm a semi-retired, happy, married, and a beautiful daughter. And I owe you guys a great deal of gratitude. Thank you. All right, we have 5 more presentations. It's all great organizations around the community that have benefited greatly from that wonderful family. First up is Andy Tobias, our lovely Carabasset Valley librarian. We do have a microphone for any presenters if you don't have a loud, booming voice like me.
I'll try without. Again, Andrea Tobias, I'm the library director. The library existed for many years in a lot of different places over the years, but in the 2000s, we were really heavily looking into building a new library. The long story short is that we started our capital campaign. Basically, on behalf of the Building for the Future is what our campaign was called. On behalf of that committee and the Carabasset Library Board of Directors, we just want to thank you for your generous donation, which helped us to reach and secure the goal that we needed to proceed with plans and ask the town of Carabasset to help us with the rest of the money that we needed to build this. So today we are standing in the Begin Family Community Room, which is obviously named for Clem and Roland. And I just wanted to point out, we just put up a sign this morning, and let me read it for you. The Begin Family Community Room. in appreciation for the generosity and support of Clem and Roland Begin. So thank you so much for helping make our dreams come true. And I think we've had close to 100,000 people in this space since we opened 14 years ago. So thank you.
One thing that Bobby forgot to mention on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, this is the 2023 Carabasset Valley Annual Report. And we as selectmen tried to think of a great way to to pay tribute to these guys. I don't know if everyone saw it, but we dedicated the Carabasset Valley Town Annual Report to Clem and Roland, and we couldn't thought of a better way to give our thanks. So these copies are on the library if anyone wants to see it. I'm not going to read it because I'll stumble over the words, but anyways, just another tribute to the great couple. Next up is Mr. Don Rizzo from Carabasset Valley Academy.
As you go up and down the access road, the sign going into the new campus is Begin's Way. And what I want to say is this is not a street sign. This is a way to live. And I just want to recognize that Clem and Roland, the words that come to my mind are kind, generous, hardworking. They work together to build a beautiful family, also to build a community. They didn't do this for accolades. They weren't looking for praise or attention. They did this to make Carabasset Valley. Kate told me I had 5 minutes, and I told her she better bring the book. And somebody walking in, who I don't know, came up and said 3 to 5 minutes. So my reputation precedes me. Like you, and you're going to hear this over and over today. We all have Clem stories, Clem and Roland stories, and I just want to say that their generosity towards Carabasset Valley Academy is unbelievable. And I am so pleased to be able to tell some of these stories. I tell them all the time anyway. But as good as they've been, I just want to say that the Anti-Gravity Center would not be here today without Clem. Yeah. Clem came in, and after the structure was put up, Clem came in and finished that building by himself. But not only by himself, for months. And he took not a penny to do this. He hired a young guy to work with him, paid him out of his own pocket, and spent months putting this together. And it just wouldn't have happened without Clem to do that. But that was before we started the new dorm project. And again, Clem came in, and they can verify this as George can. One of the things that you have to understand, the CDA back in those days, and probably these days, I was going to put a sign over the door that said every day is a miracle, because we never quite had enough to do everything we needed to do. But Clem came in and helped us with that building. And he called in every favor he could with every supplier. He went to Quebec and bought granite for the countertops and the bathrooms and the apartments, and then put them in himself. He worked tirelessly, and I think, and George was kind of head of that program and stuff, we figured Clem, through his efforts, probably saved $1 million on that project. He couldn't have done it. It wouldn't have got finished, so we owe him that. But a story I love to tell is about a week before the Anti-Gravity Center was going to open. Clem approached my wife, who's a painter, Patty, and he didn't ask Patty, he told Patty that he wanted the climbing wall to look like a mountain. Please paint the mural to look like a mountain. Patty said, well, there's not time, it'll be a week. She wasn't thinking the Begin way. Clem reassured her, I'll have a lift for you and the paint for you in the morning. So Patty with a paintbrush taped to a broom handle, 40 feet up on the lift, gets it finished, and then in tribute to Clem, she painted a mountain goat. So that was Clem, if anyone ever knew that. So that's that story, and but my favorite story, and he's not here today, but when we bought the Lumberjack Lodge to make it a dormitory, it needed a new septic system. And we got a quote from a local contractor for $25,000. Clem said, that's way too much. We can do it ourselves. Okay? What I didn't realize, it meant him, me, the two cooks, John Hagerstrom and Greg Spiller, the maintenance guy, John Hanson, and once again, he hired a young kid, Ronnie DeGravia. We got most of it done by hand with some help from the Jordans. So go forward, and I'm at the school, and someone says, hey, the building inspector, who happened to be Billy Gilmore, is here to inspect the project and give you to see if it can get a use permit. Okay, you've got to go over there. So I go over, and I'm there, and I can hear voices, but I don't see anybody. And all of a sudden, I hear in the tank, hey, Billy, hand me the glue. I look, like, what? And I go over, and Billy's helping Clem put the last of the PVC together. So I look and I go, Billy, did we pass? And that just tells me, that says so much about not only Clem, but Carabasset Valley. It was great. So, let's see here. How am I doing on time, Kate? Like all of us, and John just did, I want to just talk about what Clem has meant to me personally. We spent a lot of time together, and he taught me so much. Clem really taught me the vegan way. And what he taught me was nothing's impossible. If you work hard and think big, you can get it done. And if you really wanted to get in trouble, you'd get Clem and Adrian Brochu together and then in terms of what you could do. So anyway, so that he taught me a lot about that. There was just no such word as can't. Just not everything was possible. And he also taught me, though, the importance of being kind, being generous, and enjoying life. The two of them. I just. So I just could not miss this today. The other thing, and Bobby mentioned it, is that I've seen Clem mad, but I've never heard him say a mean word about somebody. And I've thought about that. And what I realized is Clem didn't have time to be negative. He was too busy. There was something else to do. So I learned that too. So I would love to stay here and go on, but I just want to say, on behalf of Carabasset Valley Academy, I want to thank both of you for your incredible generosity. And I would just say that when you look back, your imprint on Carabasset Valley is everywhere, and your legacy is everlasting. So thank you very much.
Next up is Bob and Susie Peixoto. They may be pronounced it properly. On behalf of the Maine Hudson Trails. You want the microphone?
For those of you who don't know me, I've been the chairman of Maine Hudson Trails for the last 17 years. Picked up the banner from Larry Warren. And one of the things that really strikes me as I stand here today is early in the development of the first huts, Larry said, let's take Clem Begin for a ride, and we drove him over to Flagstaff Lake where the new hut was just built. And we went down on the point and stood there on the east shore, standing up looking at the Bigelows. And Larry went on with the vision that Larry had for what Maine Hudson Trails could be, which is inspiring and has worked. But we thought we'd ask Nathan if he could help us out a little bit with a contribution. And we had a great meeting, etc. A few weeks later, Larry called me and said, heard from Clem. He's been doing some estate planning, and they're going to give us $1 million so that we can build a hut in Carabasset Valley in his lifetime. And it wasn't on our plan, but we added it to the plan, and it has been really the showpiece hut that we have today. We hold all of our special events up there. As you know, Carabasset Valley is now very much a mountain biking community. A lot of mountain bikers like to go up there and use the hut and the trails that come to and from it. We've since we started, we've brought about 90,000 visitors to Carabasset Valley, and it has been our second most popular hut since it opened. Flagstaff, because of the lake, I think draws a lot of people. But I can easily say that 15 to 20,000 people have enjoyed wonderful experiences overnight there, and that doesn't count all the day visitors. It's just been a tremendous part of what Maine Hudson Trails has become and has done. Want to share, please?
Sure. So I'm Susie Picciotto. I don't usually dress like Bob, but we just came from an annual board retreat at Flagstaff Lake Hut, and Will Toll, the executive director, would be here today, but that meeting is ongoing, so we were excused for this important event. And Clem, I got to first know you when I was on the CBA board, and I think I got on the board because I had a graduate of CBA who lived in the Lumberjack, and he worked out in the Anti-Gravity Center. And he is one of the reasons that we ended up in this area. And I just want to say how grateful I am for the community that you've helped foster up there and that you've maintained up there. And tell a little story about that son, Chris, his wife, Svetlana. I mentioned this to you folks a few minutes ago. She actually wrote a note that I hand-carried and brought to Clem and Roland, because when they were on a vacation a while ago in Russia, and she was over there, she offered to take Garrett around at night when the canals, the bridges are open, and she was very, very fond of you two and having that opportunity. And I want to get back to Stratton Brook Hut for a moment. When you go up there and you look at the fleur-de-lis and the entryway, go up if you haven't seen it. Make sure you see it and think of Clem and Roland. And the same Svetlana, we invited her to come to a harvest lunch this fall at Stratton Brook Hut. And my son said, well, that might be kind of far for the kids. They're pretty active. It wasn't too far. And she said, I'm going to that hut. I don't care if I carry him up on my back. So off we went. So thank you for your community. We're all grateful.
One part that I really want to add that is important is one of the things we do is we have kids from the local schools and schools from way beyond come to the huts for educational experiences. And Stratton Brook has been a hub for those educational experiences for kids. And so it's really benefited the community in so many ways. And, we couldn't thank you enough. There's not enough gratitude to say how thankful we are for the shot in the arm that you gave Maine Hudson Trails as it was in its infancy. And it's really carried forward. Thank you.
On behalf of the R.H. Bell Interfaith Chapel, Jerry Thompson is going to come say a couple words.
Thank you, John.
Nice to see you back.
Clem, Roland, nice to see you. Buffy Bell would normally be here representing the Bell Chapel, but unfortunately Buffy's on the West Coast for a couple of weeks right now, so she couldn't be here. So she asked me if I would stand in for her. And she wanted me to express the gratitude that we have for everything that you two have done for the chapel. Now, I think it might have been the beginning of philanthropy in Carabasset Valley when Clem started helping out Dick Bell to raise the money for the chapel. My parents' generation were astute enough to recognize that no one religion was going to be able to build a chapel and have a building of their own. And so they got together and started the Bell Chapel as an interfaith chapel. That is, that anybody is welcome to use it. And you probably know our major tenants right now are the Sugarloaf Christian Ministry and the Catholic Church, as well as the Ski Patrol. And it's a wonderful location for the Ski Patrol. So they didn't have any money. That generation recognized it needed to be done. And Dick Bell was the person who focused on raising the money for it. And Clem was an integral part of the fundraising, not only for the chapel when it was first built, but also especially for the annex that was added on. And not only did Clem donate a lot of money, and in many cases offered to match funds that other people donated, but he also put a lot of sweat equity into all of the buildings, all of the construction that was done on the chapel. The chapel, it turns out that it was the right thing to do to make it an interfaith chapel, and it has been a focus point for the religious communities here in Carabasset Valley. So Clem and Roland, we want to thank you, express our gratitude. Clem left the board just as I was coming on the board, so I didn't actually serve on the board with him, but I know that even up until just a few years ago, he was very active on the board and did a lot for the chapel. So Clem, thank you very much for everything you've done for the chapel.
That kind of wraps up the structure. Yeah, I was going to ask if anyone else would like to say a couple words. Here she is.
Thank you. My name is Kate Weber Punderson. I'm here today representing the Sugarloaf Ski Club. And Clem and Roland were very generous in contributing to the ski club to allow us to construct what is now the competition center, the Bill and Joan Alphon Competition Center. We've heard a lot today about buildings, but it's really the community and the people that use those buildings that Clem and Roland have had the biggest impact on. Hundreds and thousands of kids have benefited from your generosity, not only at CVA, but in the competition center. It has become a hub for our junior programs, where skiers and snowboarders of all ages, not only locally, but throughout Maine, have been able to reach their dreams and become skiers and snowboarders and really push themselves. So on behalf of the Sugarloaf Ski Club, thank you for supporting it. Please know that your generosity has just had a huge amount of impact on thousands of young people throughout the state of Maine. So thank you.
So my name is Cecil White, and everybody, Clem knows me as Chip. The only thing that's been left out of this beautiful event, I want everybody to know that back in the early 80s, when Sugarloaf was struggling, in 81 and 82, when the hotel got bankrupt and all these bad things were happening in Sugarloaf, the only good person we had was Clem. He knew the vision. He took the young boys like me and let me have a job at Sugarloaf to be a service provider. For 40 years, imagine that. I hung all them beams in that base lodge. I went all around New England. I went from Boston, Massachusetts to Canada. You remember when we broke the stick shift off Boston with the granite coming home? Woo! You guys have no idea. The service that was allowed by Clem Begin. You have no idea. The golf course. Everything. The base lodge. Hanging all them beams. Seeing the vision. Oh, Chip, we need an elevator. Okay, boss. Boom! We have an elevator. It's like, listen, if anybody was blessed, and I got to say this to Clem, it was the workers that me and Dave and all the young boys that were in this district trying to raise our kids. Unbeatable. He was the man behind the scene walking quietly every day, going, Chip, Chip, Chip. Let me tell you, I think of Dust Demshaw, another great man that taught me so much. Clem would go on vacation because the snow was coming. So I'd run in the hotel and work for Dutch because I was so blessed to work with great people. I was a service provider for 42 years at Sugarloaf, and I can stand here and tell you today that I still am. and I'm gonna continue to do that. Thanks, Clem.
We have one final presentation from the town manager, David Coda, Board of Selectmen, Bobby Luce. Before we go, did you guys want to say anything? I don't mean to put you on the spot. No? Your day? Good? That's another example of their humility. You know, I think everyone in the room is grateful. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but it's your day. Anyways, Mr. Luce has one final presentation for you. You guys want to come? Why not? Be a good photo op. You're so humble. You go there, Bob.
Come on, young fella, chop, chop. Come right up here. As you can see, on behalf of a very, very grateful community, we are, I can't even find the right words, saying how appreciative we are for your contributions to this town and to what we've done. Residents, yes. I am extremely happy that we were able to do this. It sounds wrong, but while we're here talking to them, invariably we end up giving tributes to people after they pass, and it feels so much better to be able to do this here and now. As a memento for us, from us, the community, it's the picture was in the town annual report. And I don't know how we'll ever be able to begin to say thank you enough for all that you've done. We're extremely grateful as a community. We are who we are today and what we do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
And I say that wraps up this wonderful tribute to a wonderful family. Thanks everyone for coming.